Hello and welcome to my channel. So we have started a series on medieval history and we have already talked about the early medieval history period in Europe, Arab and China. And then we have already talked about the tripartite struggle that was going on in North India, and we have also talked about what was happening in South, and there was a rise of Cholas. So today we will continue with this and we will talk about the economic and social life of that period. So the economic and social life of that period can be studied from Harisena's book Brihat Katha Kos, right? So these books names should be remembered that if in any exam if it comes, then you may be able to mark the right answer, right? So Brihat Katha Kosh was giving the information on language of that period, about the dresses, about the food and about the knowledge of Southeast Asia. So it was clear that Indians were trading with the Southeast Asian countries. So first thing was this, and then second thing was that there were merchant guilds. Guilds means that there was a group of people who were merchants and they were trading. So they were called as guilds were called as Manigraman or Nandesi. So these were the words used during that period and these are important for your examination. Keep it remember. So there were port city from where trades was happening, such as in Bengal it was Tamralipti, which was later called as Tamluk. So Tamralipti name should be remembered. And what were the Chinese doing at that time? So the trade that was happening via sea route was helped by the developments of the Chinese, that was a mariner's compass. So this compass was later used by many seafarers to trade around the globe. The Europeans came to India and to the China by the help of these compass only. And there was a book written by Kalhan. It was called Rajat Rangani. It gave the information of the kings who ruled the Kashmir region, and it also talks about the inequality in the society, inequality existing in the society of that time. So all these were talked in the book Rajat Rangani. And during that time forced labor was also available, means that it was going on, and it was termed as Vishti. So Vishti word should be remembered because sometimes questions are asked based on match the followings, and some medieval terms are given like Vishti, or they can give you Tamralipti, Manigraman, and they will ask to match with the correct meaning of those words, like there will be forced labor, there will be compass, and you will have to choose the right match. So keep on remembering these words and make a note of it. Feudal society grew at that time, and caste system was evolving with the time, and there was a concept called Dwij. It means that twice born. And during that time Brahmin and Rajputs become the prominent caste of that time, and untouchables were called as Antyaj. So these things you need to remember. Basically there are few facts that you should remember in medieval history, and do not have to delve into too much of the stories of the book, because these facts are basically asked, so you need to focus on these facts only for examination and nothing else. Then there was a book called Nidishara written by Kamandak. So the book's name and the writer's name you should remember. And even in the mains these questions are asked, that what were the literatures of the period, then you will have to write up the books that scientific progress books, philosophical books. Then you will have to give the examples like Nitisara written by Kamandak, Leelavati was a maths book written by Bhaskara. So these things you need to do for your exam. And however, in medieval period, development of science, medicine, astronomy had decreased a lot, and Al-Biruni wrote that Indians isolated themselves from outside the world and from the progress of science and technology. So Indian society was getting more and more stagnated at that time, and the religion of Hinduism spread, and that of the Jainism and Buddhism declined during that time. And there were Nath Panthis existing in North India who were the Gorakhnath's follower, and they become famous in North India. And what their philosophy was that they first denounced the caste system, and they also denounced the privileges garnered by the Brahmins, and they preached Tantra. So these things were important points of the Nath Panthis. And the Chalukyans who were existing during that period, they used to patronize many religions including the Jainism. And Dilwara temple and the Ganga rulers were also patronizing Jainism, and Dilwara temple was built at this time. So all these things you need to remember. The temples of the Jainis were called as basadis, and Mahastambhas were called as pillars. So all these things you need to remember. Then Bhaktism also increased, and Nainmars and Alvar saints grew during that period, and they rejected the austere life. They used to live a normal life where material things has also importance, right? And women saints were called as Andals, and there were many Alvar saints who were famous. One among them was Nath Muni. So Nath Muni was also famous during that time. And Lingayat and Veer Seva movement spread during the 12th century, means 1100 onwards. This was happening in South India, and the founder of Lingayat movement was Basava and Channa Basava, and they also opposed the caste system like the Nath Panthis in the northern India did, and they opposed child marriage, and they allowed widow remarriage. So they were forward looking in social aspects. And then Shankaracharya emerged. He was called as Shankar by the book Satish Chandra. So I have mentioned Shankar only. Shankar reformulated Hinduism philosophy, and he gave the concept of Advait Vad, which means doctrine of non-dualism. So Hindu religion, the religion of India, was very much deep and very much discussed and dialogued upon. So there were dualism and non-dualism. These concepts were understood by different philosophers and saints of that time, and Shankar was one who spread the doctrine of non-dualism, Advaitavad. And from that, philosophy of Vedanta also came, and Vedas were treated as the fountainhead of true knowledge during that time. And then after Shankar, a prominent saint came, who was Ramanuj. He was during the time of 11th century. So they were not at the same time. So this thing you need to remember. And he assimilated bhakti with the Vedas tradition. So he created the link of Bhaktism and Vedas, and he was inclusive of lower caste, and many followers of Ramanuj were like Madhavacharya, Ramanand, Vallabhacharya. So all these were important people and saints of that time, and they were the followers of Ramanuj. So this was it from this chapter. So if you have not seen my other videos, please view them first and then come to this chapter, and please like, share and subscribe. Thank you.